بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is our 10th lecture in this course, and it is the last lecture. And we will try to briefly discuss an idea how much can Islamic finance contribute to reducing or eliminating financial crisis in the world, if of course if it is adopted, and what solutions do we have to these crises, and how can we avoid them. Now, when we look at the component and the structure of Islamic finance, we notice in it some basic points. One, we don't deal with virtualities. So when we don't deal with virtualities, that means all the assets that we call them assets, but in fact they are fabricated, created for the purpose of speculation, and they really do not add value to the world. They do not produce wheat or meat or tomato or potato, so they don't give that benefit. They may make somebody rich and somebody poor, but rich and poor only in terms of numbers in banks, not really in terms of getting more food or producing more computers for people to benefit from. This is a big difference. This is a fortune in the air, not really fortune in reality. It is a virtual fortune in the final analysis. That is Islamic finance does not accept. So imagine if we turn back all these trillions of dollars that are used in financing the transactions in the derivative markets. All of these trillions of dollars are turned back to the real economy to be used in agriculture, in industry, and in trade. What will happen to the world? We talk about a world in which about 1/7, 1 out of each 7 persons in this world is hungry. There were statistics about the United States recently published on CNN that one family out of each 7 families stay hungry in the United States today, now. And we are talking about creating wealth in terms of numbers in the derivative market, which is all of it imaginary market, not real market, not related to, say, the company of IBM or Microsoft or agricultural companies or other companies that produce goods and services that serve humanity. This is one thing that definitely by reducing these amounts or eliminating it. In fact, Islamic finance put a completely zero value on all these derivatives. They cannot be used, they cannot be traded, they cannot be owned, they cannot be bought, they cannot be sold. And the result is that turn all these resources, add to them all the human resources that is used in them. Millions of people also are using their talents, and usually those are people of high talents that are occupied in the finance market. Turn them all to real production instead of fake transactions. This is one. Definitely sticking to the real market is an important thing in solving the problem of hunger in the world. That's one. Two, we do not create layers of financial assets above the thin layer of the real market. Rather, financial assets layers will be smaller in number, maybe 1 or 2, or even only 1, and also will be smaller in size than the base, because we don't finance 100%. And once we finance, you cannot recycle that finance. That is, in a sense, you cannot sell again the debts and trade them again and again and again. That is not done completely. So let's remember that Lehman Brothers, the first big bank that went bankrupt in the year 2008, was not a retail banker, was a wholesale banker that deals with banks only. What's the meaning of dealing with banks only? It means it buys debts from them. So that is the thing that we don't do, and that is the thing that Islamic finance does not do at all. So if it were in Islamic finance, Lehman Brothers would have gotten another job other than being bank of bankers. It would have gotten a job like being producer of wheat in agriculture, or producer of computers in industry, or of cars that work on the sun power, or anything like that, but not definitely a bank of banker that buys debts and trade debts. So the issue becomes very different. We avoid, through Islamic finance, through the principle of realism, through the principle of sticking to the real market, we avoid the uh, the the happening, the incidences of crisis. We avoid the causes that create crisis, and then we are bound to have much less crisis. Add to that also another economic value: when we reduce the production of items that hurt our economy, our society, our health, our environment. All these, if Islamic finance prevails, there should be almost no production of cigarettes in the world, no production of liquor in the world, no production of this carbon gas in the air, and no production of all these harmful things. The whole thing will be quite different, economically, health-wise, socially also, social happiness, and also materially, with less problems, material problems around us. The whole thing then will be different, and definitely crisis will be much less. Do we have then definitely less inflation? Inflation means that you have more money chasing less goods. When we have larger goods production, definitely that should be an element in reducing inflation, because we increase the supply. Now, supply of goods. What is unfortunate that in this pandemic economic effect, it showed us that America is short on producing medical equipment, ventilators, in producing medical beds, medical services. We were short on that. And if we are short on that, what are we long on? What are we not short on? We own a lot of options, and we own a lot of derivatives, other derivatives. For God's sake, that doesn't help us. I remember the story of the group of people who were, doing their business and driving, and then one of them said, "Oh gosh, you don't know the mathematics that we know, then you lost half of your life." Then next day they were all on the boat in the sea, and it was windy, and the boat was about to collapse, to turned over. And then that person asked the others, "Well, do you guys know know how to swim?" They said no. So they told them, "Oh, well, now you lost all your life, not half of it." So the issue really is, do we want to continue becoming richer through Bitcoin and through options and through other derivatives in the market, through futures. And so you own so much future contract. That's not the way the world should go, and that is not going to be the world of tomorrow if we are going to survive until tomorrow. Thank you very much. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.